Joining us now from the Fraternal Order of Police, Joe Gamaldi. Joe, it's great to have you on tonight. It's good to see you. Joe, your reaction to the president now saying he wants more funding for cops. This is 70 days before the midterms?
Yeah, well, a recent Gallup poll said that 80% of Americans are worried about crime. It's one of the highest numbers they've had in recent memory. And listen, wanting to hire 100,000 police officers and adding mental health services, that's a good thing. That's a step in the right direction. But what rank and file law enforcement really want to hear is a full-throated support of law enforcement in this country and a condemnation of the historic violence against us to the tune of 230 police officers already. So, you want to hire 100,000 police officers, but that's going to be pretty hard to do when recruitment is in the tank because we've been demonized and denigrated and spit in our face for the better part of a decade. And, President Biden wants to give this speech in Philadelphia about, he should be talking about crime. Let's talk about the embarrassment of a DA, Larry Krasner, and all the other good-for-nothing rogue DAs in this country. So if you want to help, why don't you start by calling for Larry Krasner's resignation, because him and his brain trust have allowed that city to descend into chaos, all in pursuit of their perverse agenda.
I mean, defund the police has caused tens of thousands of cops to quit. Thousands, tens of thousands more retiring early. They've been demoralized and attacked. President Biden also, his attack on GOP voters as, quote, semi-fascist. It was cited in a new hate crime attack on a Republican office in a suburb of Orlando. We've got to move on to this, Joe. This dangerous new trend. Incarceration rates fell to 1995 levels, and MIT says the U.S. ranks in the bottom half of developed nations for police officers per capita. So we have the lowest level of cops in this nation right now. I don't know if people realize that.
Yeah, I don't think people have any clue just how bad it is. As we've talked about before, retirements are up 40%, resignations are up 20%, recruitment is completely in the tank. And what have we been talking about for years, Liz? We continue to let these criminals out over and over again through this woke revolving door criminal justice system. And surprise, surprise, we are seeing our crime rate spike. 2021 was the deadliest year for our country for intentional homicides in almost 30 years. I don't know how much more data or examples we need. I mean, for goodness sakes, we just had a football player robbed in broad daylight in Washington, D.C., where carjackings are up 27. Hundreds of officers. How much more evidence do we need?
That was the Washington Commanders' Brian Robinson shot during a carjacking. A section of the Hollywood Walk of Fame was closed yesterday after a teenager was shot dead. The crew of an upcoming Apple TV show starring Natalie Portman fled Baltimore after shooting and extortion threats from local drug dealers. And now this new crime trend. Armed robbers on mopeds attacking and stealing from people, including in Manhattan. The mopeds have no license plates, so they are hard to track. What do you make of this? Final word.
What I make of this, Liz, is that we are seeing a complete culture of lawlessness in this country. We have burned down the institutions of law enforcement and law and order, and now we're all just living in the ashes. And I'm telling you, I don't know what it's going to take for everybody in every major city in this country to wake up, vote out these woke prosecutors, these activist judges, and let's start getting our country back.